Pam actually and we talked yesterday, and we came up with some really thought-provoking items that many people have been thinking about. And Pam, I don't know if you have that in front of you. If not, I can pull up that email.
I have
but I think that, yeah, I think that agenda is going to hopefully excite people as well, because these are like the top things that many people are thinking about these days.
Yeah, so we have actually kind of 3 topics we're going to talk about. First is the new SharePoint coming out, which is very exciting. And then there's some Viva news, and then we're going to follow that up just talking about SaaS collaboration applications in general. So I'm excited to get to that last one. So. Yeah. All right, so has anyone, I guess everyone's heard that there's a new SharePoint coming out. I think you can download the trial, it's the on-prem, but it's SharePoint server subscription. So they're not calling it, 2021 or 2022, it's subscription. So the plan is that,
Moss. WSS. All us old timers.
That's right.
Actually, it's STS.
Right.
Even before that.
Right. Oh.
So yeah, I was just wondering, has anyone looked at it? Has everyone heard about it?
Is this a SharePoint on-premise specific, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So yeah. I think I'm not up to scratch with the news when it comes to on-premises, because we use SharePoint online, so that's very new to me as well. Yeah. So
now, is everyone else online completely, or do we have any on-prem or hybrid users?
This is Heather. I'm still on-prem.
I feel ya.
Yeah.
We're totally online.
Huh?
We're totally online.
Okay.
We've got a hybrid.
Nice. So I think that Microsoft is finally, recognizing there are some organizations that are not going to be comfortable putting all their SharePoint in the cloud. So, we're in GCC High, so we have our kind of, own special requirement things that we have going on in compliance. But, well, since there's a couple of you guys who are still hybrid or on-prem, so there's no news yet about the licensing and how that's going to work. So I am a little bit interested in that, because subscription sounds expensive to me.
Yeah, that's actually a major point that I'm not sure if everybody understood, that it's a subscription model, but on-prem. So trying to combine the two together. So of course it's good for Microsoft. I don't know if it's going to be good for you guys.
So one of the fantastic things, though, is that they're going to roll in all of the updates with it. So, if you're like me and you've been doing SharePoint updates every month for, a very, very long time, then, you'll also be like super happy to know that they should be part of Windows updates. And I've already let everybody know if that happens, then not only are we upgrading, but then I'm not patching servers anymore, because I only do it because of those SharePoint updates. So they should be part of like Windows updates. So I guess Microsoft feels like they have that under control. But just for the record, last month, the SharePoint 2019 Windows, the SharePoint 2019 updates, one of them broke something, and a bunch of people had to go out and get like an extra patch to do on top of that. So I'm still not super confident in Microsoft's ability to patch and update SharePoint without any, intervention, but we'll see.
I do remember at one point, I'll throw something in there that, sitting in some of the private meetings when this is many, many years ago within Microsoft Campus, they were talking about how the patches will be every month for the new version of SharePoint, which became SharePoint 2019. That never happened. It was so much pushback from the customers. So I'm also curious to see what happens with SharePoint Server subscription.
So get this, last night I read that not only are they're starting with SharePoint, but the plan is that Exchange is going to be a subscription and Project Server as well. So the next versions, I mean, Microsoft's going all in on the subscription model. I think there's a lot more money for them in that. And, you know, if it's easier to manage and maintain, I mean, I'm kind of all in on it too, because I definitely don't enjoy that part.
Can I ask Jeff also? Jeff, you're in GCC. Pam is in GCC High. Do you see GCC ever going yourself? I mean, your organization going that route?
Not right now. We used to be on premise, and then we were talking about going hybrid in the past, but we've managed to do everything online. And as far as I know, that's the direction we're going to be heading. We're not going to stand up a server or farm inside. That could change, but that's the direction right now.
Okay, just wondering.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of interesting, and other updates on the SharePoint subscription version. Like the only other feature that they had as far as user interface that's listed is the search. It's going to use the modern search results page. And it's like, hey, but I guess it's really because it's just going to hopefully get it in line with where Office 365 is now. But I thought they'd really kind of highlight some of that. They didn't. Hopefully I'll be able to install it soon. I'm excited to check it out.
So there's one thread on LinkedIn about, I can't remember exactly who, Daniel Glenn, who I think you know, put it out there saying that, hey, there's a new one available, looking forward to it. Someone responded in the comments saying, my install has been running for 2 hours, not finished yet. I don't know, I'm not too hopeful. So there's already some glitches. If you do try to install, I would love to hear what your experience is.
You know, I'm going to check out Azure because, you know, they have so many VMs and including, you know, SharePoint VMs that you can just kind of spin up for trials and things. Yeah. So I'm going to start there because I'm not necessarily so much interested in the install at this point. I'm interested in, you know, what it looks like and how it feels and all of that. So
good idea.
So yeah, fingers crossed that I can find something about that. If anybody wants more information on that, I will post the link to the article that I found that on Microsoft that broke it all down. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Glad. I think they're hoping this is going to be their final version. So
Pam, I would be interested in that if you don't mind posting it.
Yeah, I will. It's
I could try to look for it also, Pam, as you continue.
Yeah. So actually, I think if there isn't, does anyone else have any thoughts on the SharePoint subscription version? There you go. Yeah, thank you. All right, then I think that we can move on to Viva.
So I'll kickstart that one. There's a conference happening next 3 days in Chicago. That's my hometown. SharePoint Fest. They're also calling it SharePoint Fest and Teams Fest now, where you know, starting from this one, even before Microsoft wants there to be a big push on Viva. So one of the things that I'm doing, actually, I'm doing a presentation on Viva Connections, and I'm doing another presentation on Viva Learning tomorrow and the day after at the conference. So I've been in touch also with the project managers, program managers at Microsoft to learn and get deeper and deeper at Viva. One of the things that I did not even know, because they were kind of holding it very close to their chest until last week, was exactly what the pricing they were going to decide. Now it's out in the open. So it's $4 per user per month for each of the applications: Viva Learning, Viva Insights, Viva Topics. So if you want it all, and by the way, Viva Connections, which is the fourth one, which basically is bringing your SharePoint inside Teams, that's free, no charge for that. Thank you, Microsoft. But the other stuff, what I was really interested in, Viva Topics, Viva Learning, Viva Insights, is all $4 per user per month, in addition to whatever you're paying. Even if you're on E5, you get nothing for free. You have to pay on top of that. So, needless to say, many people that I talked to, including myself, were kind of disappointed because it's, think about it. What's the calculation here? 1,000 users, let's say at a small, mid-sized organization, we're talking about 4,000 per month per app, right? And that just, grows from there. But wanted to get your reaction as to how you guys feel about this pricing so far. Do you think that's something that'll be implemented?
I could tell you 12,000 a month for us if you use all three for 3,000 users. It ain't gonna happen. I can tell you right now, it ain't gonna happen. So
yeah,
I mean,
I really. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, like, I believe that Microsoft is trying to keep this very segregated to all of their other products, because it was a bit of a shock as well to hear about that as well. So it was like,
Yeah.
regardless of what subscription, if you even have the highest subscription ever, you still don't get any kind of like freebie or anything in terms of Microsoft Viva. So I was really shocked about that news as well. I was eager to know more about the Viva Learning as well, which is quite I was interested in, and connections again, that was free. So that went through one ear out the other. And I was like, the main ones were the Viva Learning and the Viva Topics as well, which I seen that was quite interesting as well. But I'm shocked, really shocked to hear that.
How about everybody else?
Microsoft had that, what is it? So like they had a learning center and a productivity hub, and like they've had other things like in the past. So I guess I kind of thought that Viva Learning would have like this basic free version, and then there would be some kind of paid version. And I think with the Viva Learning, like it's $4 per month, but then isn't there some kind of a LinkedIn account that you have to have?
Yeah, there is. And actually, so I didn't complete the story. Sorry about that. There will be a free version, but it's going to be very limited in nature for Viva Learning. That's for sure. It's just going to be, you could take some items from your own environment, put it up there. You could take the free LinkedIn Learning, which is 125 courses, put it up there. But anything you want to do with in terms of integration with your current stuff, LMS and everything else, everything you got to pay.
I see.
So regarding LinkedIn, and actually Pam and I were talking about that yesterday. She and I both have LinkedIn Learning Premium account. So you have that premium badge that comes up when you go to LinkedIn. But regardless, if you go to Viva Learning with your own account, for me, it's asif@visualsp.com. I don't see the LinkedIn courses because our organization doesn't subscribe to it. I, as an individual, subscribe to it. So keep that in mind, that even if you have premium, you can't see those in Teams. You would have to go in the browser with your own account to see it. And that's going to remain the same. They'll remain the same. But there will be a Viva Learning free version. I am in touch with the guy who's the main person, has told me to just be patient and not talk about everything. So I can't talk about it. There will be a free version. It just won't be where many people want it to be.
Gotcha. Melanie, I love your background. That's
yeah. A giraffe in the back. And Rocky, the t-shirt you're wearing is the one I was wearing this morning. This is so weird to see that t-shirt on you.
I didn't realize I was wearing a giraffe t-shirt either.
Look at that.
I had to borrow it from a coworker. No, I am overwhelmed. I don't have to deal with the pricing at Medtronic and or with the negotiations of licensing. We have another team that does that, but it keeps creeping up and up. I thought it was a little bit more. I thought it was like $5 per user for Viva
Topics, and then they brought it down $1.
Okay, so that's good. I mean, I've never seen a subscription get less, but that's what everybody's doing nowadays. Our subscription model. So.
Yeah.
I like the one and done. Buy it not for the shot, but for the for the for having applications that I can control. But
Yeah,
We can't get away from it.
Any Azure-driven service, I think subscription is going to remain unless someone can give you something, could put it, behind your firewall or on your tenant. Other than that, all pieces, if someone's paying the bill for it, then they're going to charge for it. It's just the model that all vendors are thinking about these days. So
does anybody have a LinkedIn company account or know anything about them?
question.
Yeah.
I don't pay anything for that.
When you go to LinkedIn, I actually, when we talked yesterday, Pam, about that very thing, I went to the website for LinkedIn Learning to look for pricing. Because I actually never thought about even looking for pricing, and they don't list the pricing. They only say, contact us. You know what that means.
That means it's expensive.
Yeah. But if I do find out, I'll let you guys know how much it is. I'd not even know there was such a thing before, to be honest. Anyway, anybody else? Any questions regarding Viva? Any thoughts or any curiosity?
So when is Viva Learning's coming out?
Yeah, it's supposed to be fall 2021 is all they're saying currently. And honestly, I am going to say this, even though we're recording it, but they don't know themselves. That's the honest truth. I've been in touch with them, and they're kind of playing around with some of the, like, well, what's going to be free, what's going to be paid, and who's going to be the actual integrators and everything else. So that story is not done yet. The integration, the APIs and stuff like that are the ones that are blocking the progress currently. But fall 2021 is what they've agreed to in general.
So are they still on their beta stages at the moment?
Yeah, it's actually called public preview right now, but April 27th is when they stopped the public preview. They started it, and then they said, okay, well, we cannot keep up with the demand, so we're going to stop the public preview. So I shouldn't say few hundred people around the world now have access to it, but not as many yet.
It was quite a bit of a bold move when they did that.
Yeah.
They really did open it, and I was like, oh, it's a bit early stages for them to just let everyone to have a chance. So I was like, oh, I almost had the opportunity with that organization, but then when we had the chance,
You can
we
still
was
go
gonna
fill out the
have.
form, by the way. You can fill out the form and say that I'm interested, so they'll contact you.
Yeah, because we do a lot of learning in our organization, especially just to boost up our skills in our organization, because we have many different departments within the health sector. So I've been using a bit of LinkedIn Learning as well. I've not been told the price for it as either, because they don't like to advertise the price. But I've been told that it's quite expensive. But as I believe, Microsoft Viva has quite a lot of learning providers with. So that's why I'm really quite interested. So that the price range that they said, the $4 per user, is not too bad when you think about it.
But sorry, if you need subscription for each of the providers. You need Skillsoft, Pluralsight, edX, and whoever else. You would need the subscription from them, and you would need Viva Learning subscription, and then you would get the whole thing.
So, okay, that's very interesting.
It gets a lot.
There's the catch.
There's definitely a catch on that.
So
you do get a free courses.
Huh? So the $4 just gives you the connection and some reporting. No
$4 exactly. Would you guys like to see it? I have it right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll be showing at the conference tomorrow anyways. Hang on a second, since there's a lot of interest in that, I'll show it to you guys. This is Viva Learning. So it's pretty bare bones right now with the way it is in public preview. What you're looking at right now is one thing that it pushed to me as trending inside our organization in VisualSP. And that's just because I clicked on it multiple times, so automatically it thinks it's trending. But aside from that here, LinkedIn Learning, right here, Microsoft Learn, Microsoft 365 Training, these three up top are the ones that came by default. They were already configured, these three lines. After that, Skillsoft, Pluralsight, Coursera, edX, all these, I configured it afterwards, or actually I had our admin configure it. But configuration was not too difficult. It's just checking checkbox and making sure everything is good in the back end. But having said that, when you click on one of them, so I'll randomly click on something I've not clicked on before, U.S. political institutions. I don't know what I'm going to end up here, but so here, if I click, okay, here we go. When I hover over it, it shows me this is going to be opening up in a browser. Let's see. I'll go ahead and click on it. So it opened this up, and it says it starts today, but I have to enroll it, and it is free in this case. But you see, it's a landing page. It's basically a navigation from there to here. That's all that was, going from there to a course that's free in this case. One thing that you'll not find is when you go to course, or you look for different things, it will not tell you looking at the course if it's free or not. You just have to click around, and sometimes you'll just get told that, hey, this is not free. You need to have a subscription.
Are they looking on embedding it into the application? So instead of having to be jumping from application to application,
Yeah,
right, it makes sense to have the actual web page open in Microsoft Teams.
it would, but currently there's no plan. So I will show you one. So for example, this is a nice one from DJ Patel over here. Ask me anything. This one does show a play button. It's LinkedIn Learning, and that is integrated.
Okay.
Right. So in this one, it will show me the whole experience right here, which is nice.
Yeah, I think that's the main key factor of this Viva Learning when I was interested in it, because if you have one central place for everything, because Teams is now such a common application, putting everything in one place makes sense, doesn't it? No.
It does. It's still a destination learning. I tell people about this that Microsoft is pitching as quote unquote learning in the flow of work. That's not how I look at it, because I've done a lot of research in that and talked to a lot of people. But it's more of, because you're in Teams, it's just an app away. It's just a click away to get to the app, and then you have to go in there. Not truly learning in the flow of work, but still destination learning where you work. So it is a fairly good experience. I definitely agree with that. Having said that, as you can see, I'm right now in the Microsoft 365 one, Outlook Quick Start, and this experience is a little bit different. So when you go from provider to provider, from Microsoft Learn to Microsoft 365 to LinkedIn Learning to edX to Skillsoft, the experience that you're going to see is going to be a little bit different. And some is going to be within Teams, like this one is within Teams, and others going to be outside in the browser. So this was a quick preview.
Yeah, and so it looks like those providers, like they have some free content, and right now is LinkedIn the only one that is a default one that has like an extra paid content, or the Microsoft Learn? Correct. And the Microsoft, okay.
Yeah, this is the only one that 125 courses are free. After that, you got to have organization license. Microsoft Learn and Microsoft 365 training is all free, but that's the stuff that you find online anyway.
Yeah.
Browser. And then everything else below that, you have to pay for separately. So you have to have organization license for Skillsoft, Pluralsight, and everything else. They don't even have a place where you can put in those credentials currently. So even that integration has not been built yet.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's early days still. But it's a good step. It's not exactly what people were looking for, but it's a good step towards at least a knowledge hub of everything here. But it is expensive.
Now, have you tried uploading any of your own content?
Can't. In public preview, it's not allowed. Yeah. Okay. But now I do know how to do it. If you guys humor me, I'll go ahead and show you some.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Yeah. So this is Viva Learning, right? And you want something to show in Viva Learning. What you need to do is first make a SharePoint site. And within that SharePoint site, you tell Viva Learning, hey, SharePoint site is there where all my SharePoint is going to be pointed to. Once you make that pointer, in that SharePoint site is going to make a list of line item. Well, it's going to make a blank list. And those line items here would be pointing to different places where you have, let's say, your videos or your PowerPoint or anything else there. So then that content, wherever that's stored within SharePoint, could be on a different site, would travel back from here to the pointer, and then from there to Viva Learning, and it's just going to show up as, you know, one row basically for your organization, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that makes sense. So that sounds like a pretty easy learning curve as far as adding content. So that's good.
Yeah. Once again, chances are currently they're still working with all the figures and stuff that you have to pay for that. There will be some limited amount that you'll be able to do for free. But for mid-sized to big organizations, if you have thousands of items or even hundreds, most probably there's going to be you have to have the license, the $4 per user per month to do all that. I'll let you guys know more once I learn more.
Is there tracking of what you've done?
No analytics. They're the assignments and also tracking and everything else. They're saying your LMS provider is the one that's going to do that. So this is basically an aggregation of the stuff that you're pushing in there, and that's about it. You can recommend, but you cannot assign and you cannot track. You can track, sorry, you can track the recommendations. So if I recommended something to Rocky, I could see, okay, what has Rocky done, or Scott, or others. But that's it. No assignment tracking, just recommendation tracking.
Wow, $4 per user per month.
And no analytics.
Yeah. I'll let you know more if they change their mind, but I kind of doubt it now, but we'll see.
So just a web page for $4 per user that links to learning content.
And see, having said that, you can have your LMS integrate within Viva Learning if the integration is possible. And if that does happen, then you may be able to see some tracking coming from your LMS. These are all maybe though, so far.
Yeah.
Lots of maybes, but most probably no. All right, Pam, back to you.
Okay. So first of all, does anyone have any topics or anything that they wanted to bring up or talk about before I start talking about this SaaS applications?
So this is Heather. I do have a really quick question. And this is really for the group, and hopefully it doesn't detract too much from where you're going. But even if anybody would happen to have any resources, I am trying to come up with a good presentation as to why we would want to move from on-prem to online. And I've found some stuff out there, but I just didn't know if any of you might have additional information or even feedback for me based off of your experience so far.
I mean, I definitely have some very personal insight into that. You know, first of all, you have the servers to manage and maintain, the administration, the configuration, and then you have these monthly updates, which, you know, from a administrator perspective alone, like being in the cloud and not having to worry about that and troubleshoot the weird issues that come up. I don't know if you were on when I was talking earlier, but the SharePoint updates that came out earlier this month, as soon as I installed them, like the all site contents page was completely blank. And like, what? So of course I get on Google where we all go for answers, and I find these threads where, starting yesterday and then like, up to like, 25 minutes ago, where all these people are like, what's happening? What's happening? And then there's another patch that you have to put on if that happens. So, it's a lot of time to manage your servers.
Yeah.
And then from a development perspective, like doing solution development, like now, do you have a hybrid or are you just on-prem?
We're on-prem for everything SharePoint. Now we are Teams online. So we are starting to move some of our like smaller division sites over into SharePoint Online just to pilot them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm trying to get to a point where we're not hybrid.
Yeah, no, yeah, I don't blame you. What version of on-prem are you running?
2016.
So, there's definitely a bunch of updates you're going to get, and whether you do 2019 or you went to an on-prem, but going online, like Power Apps, Power Automates, you know, those bring so much to SharePoint if you're doing solution development there, which I don't know if you are or not, but
Yes.
you know, in 2016, you know, that's all kind of complex. Like you either have a third-party provider to help you make forms and solutions easier, or, you know, you've kind of got these customizations that.
We're InfoPath.
Oh no! I wasn't even gonna say the word. Yeah. So yeah, getting into the cloud is gonna get you. I mean, whether you do it now or you do it later, they all have to be updated. So kind of starting that process, if you can at least get a hybrid going and start rebuilding, you know, those forms and workflows and something that is going to be lasting and supported. That's like your number one reason, right? Because everything that you have right now is going to, you know, hit end of life service. And then you get into the cloud, you have that kind of, I don't want to say it's a commitment from Microsoft that they're going to continue to support it, because they still change things. You know, every once in a while you go into Power Automate and they have like V1 and at the end of an action, and then there's a V2. So you know, like if you're a V1 and you're having problems, and then you look and you see there's a V2, and you're like, it's so different that they have a whole new action and just called it 2.
Yeah.
So, but at least then you have some kinds of you know, roadmap for going forward.
Yeah.
The problem that you have right now is that everything you do hits end of life, and as soon as you move to the cloud, you know, you've got some kind of continuous path forward.
Okay.
Anyone else have any thoughts?
I can add on to that. We used to be an on-prem only, and now we're totally in the cloud. And what I don't miss is, you know, all the service accounts, setting up permissions for the service accounts. Now, the last version we had on-prem was 2010, so I'm sure some stuff changed. But I can remember we had a service account for everything there was to do in SharePoint. I'm assuming it's the same way, maybe. And then there were server permissions, and then when there were server issues, you know, we have a different team that maintains the servers. We have a different team that maintains the SQL databases, and just researching correlation errors and IIS and just all of those things we don't have to worry about anymore. When it breaks, it's on Microsoft. Yeah. And Microsoft is held to 99.999 whatever. And when they don't fulfill their end of the deal, you can go after them like we did and get money. And we've gotten over 100 grand back from Microsoft already in a little over a year for them not holding up their end of the deal. So most people don't do that. But when you log every incident and everything that happens, you can hold them accountable. And that's not to say we're down all the time. I don't want you thinking that. We're up, you know, 90-something% of the time. It's just when there's an issue that happens and they post it in the message center and it affects us, we hold them accountable for it. But I don't miss any of the on-prem stuff at all. We do everything totally in the cloud, our email, our SharePoint, our Teams, with all the development work we're doing now with Power Apps and Power Automate and all of those things. It's great. And anytime there's new things that come out, you know, they're pushing it out to the cloud. Now we're in GCC, they push it out to commercial first, and then they push it out to the government cloud, but we still get things a lot sooner than you do on premise. I would have to say it used to be reversed, but I believe, you know, they would do it on prem first, and then the cloud was the last one to get it. But we've totally embraced it, and that's why Asif asked earlier, you know, if we were planning on doing a hybrid. We're probably not. We're probably just going to, and we're government. We're Texas government, right? We have a lot of confidential things, but you know, again, when there's problems, we point to Microsoft. It takes us out of the, you know, being on the, you know, the hot thing or whatever. Oh, it's those SharePoint admins. What's taking so long? You know, we could just say it's on SharePoint, and it really takes us out of the loop as far as infrastructure goes. So if I had any advice, that would be some of the things I could help justify for you.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, there's so many cool new things that are out, you know, and even other things like forms. You know, there's so many things that you make a list or people are customizing forms for. Like when they can go into Office 365 and forms and just you know, send something out quickly and easily and get all those results. Like, they've definitely made huge improvements on just letting end users get that information and collect information and work with data. So, yeah, good
Really
luck.
Thank you.
And really not to mention, eventually they're just going to get out of server business completely, and or never update those applications again. That's probably the end of the goal. It's going to be iRobot all over.
Well, thank you. I was just curious.
The only
Appreciate it.
downside that I would tell you is when Microsoft gets ready to push something out, they're going to push it out. So you got to be on top of it. They may come out with an email saying, guess what? In 4 months, we're not going to support SharePoint 2010 workflows anymore. And then that's when you have to get with them and you get an exception and blah, blah, blah. But for the most part, they have no sympathy. There's a reason they're doing it, and it's probably because of security or whatever. And if you do get an exception, you really have to provide. They gave us one, so it can be done, but you really have to get all your ducks in a row and provide justification and say how many hours it's going to take you to do X, Y, Z. When you show them all the stuff written down and listed out of the work that's going to take, they will most likely give you an extension. But that's the only downside. You don't get to choose a lot of times when something changes. Most of the time you're aware ahead of time, but there's some things that all of a sudden you come in one day and it looks different. There's settings in a different place and you're kind of going, oh heck, expletive. And you quickly try to notify your site owners and try to propagate the information out. But I would say that's the only thing that is a little bit irritating. And like I said, we're the first ones to jump on our TAM or our technical account manager and say, what the heck? Come on, guys, y'all can do better than that. And there we go. So.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. Like, while I love in the cloud how all of the updates that are coming, because they do make things better, they help you work faster and easier. There's a lot of updates in the message center, and I think that we've talked in here about some strategies to stay on top of those updates, but you really do have to have a plan. Somebody kind of needs to be watching them. Otherwise you do come into surprise. That I think the SharePoint 2010 workflows going away. I mean, I think probably SharePoint 2013 is going to be the same way, where it's just really abrupt when it comes to legacy stuff. That
InfoPath as well.
I don't know about InfoPath. I don't think they can shut it off that quickly and easily.
We're not taking chances. We're proactively identifying all of our forms, but I hear you. We don't want to wait for it to happen. We learned a lesson with the SharePoint designer, and we just don't even want to take a chance on it happening. But I agree with you. InfoPath is a special baby. I've always loved it. I've loved InfoPath. It's great. I learned some of my best stuff from Asif years ago on all of his training stuff. So anyway, yeah, way back in the day, SharePointVideos.com. Yay! Long time ago. You had more hair then, Asif, and it wasn't gray. Same thing with me.
Gray still. Come on, it's only gray here.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut in, but yeah.
No, that's good. Like, is anyone else still using InfoPath or have InfoPath forms out there?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we still do right now, but like I said, we're on a project to get them converted.
We are too. Power Apps, and that is a huge learning curve. But if they figured out InfoPath, we figure they can figure out Power Apps too.
There you go.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Power Apps is pretty complex.
Yeah. Honestly, that's one of the reasons I stopped teaching Power Forms, because I was super deep into InfoPath back in the day, as most of you know. But when I got to Power Apps, the audience had changed. And the audience was telling me that this is not the same. It's not as intuitive as it used to be in InfoPath.
Your average user can't do it, I don't think.
Exactly. It's the people who are coming from the developer side and going into Power User, it's easy for them.
Right.
For folks who are power users to begin with, or end users trying to become power users, it's difficult for them, unfortunately. So that's just how it is.
We have a
It's weird,
script, a
yeah.
PowerShell script that's running, and anytime it detects a customized form on the modern side or any kind of like, Microsoft makes that's the other thing that'll kind of make you mad, is Microsoft thinks everybody works like they do, right? So they're going to have hooks into this and hooks into that. And, if you're like me in the old days, you're going to click on it because you're a user who wants to learn stuff. All of a sudden, you're going to click on Power Apps. You're going to click on this. So we have a script that runs against all of our site collections, that anytime it detects anything new as in Power Apps, we generate an automatic email, tell them we're going to delete it, tell them to get with our team, and then we will take care of them. And that's one way of kind of nipping that. Otherwise, you're going to have people that are going to be playing, not even knowing what they're doing, and they could really do something that could get you in trouble or them in trouble. You don't want management coming to us saying, why the heck was Sally Sue able to do whatever? This went all the way down to the big dog downstairs. And so, sometimes you got to kind of address things in that manner too when everything's in the cloud. So
Yeah,
that's one of the big things that we're starting on is the governance aspect, because we don't, even as soon as we got Teams out there, a couple of people found the Power App stuff, and I was like,
Yep.
oh my gosh.
It's there, right? Yeah.
So,
And even
that
when you try
part.
to hide it, sometimes you try to hide it and it's still there, or you try to keep, remove permissions and they're still able to get around it. In fact, while I was on this call, something's changed because we just got one of those automated email alerts. Our team gets a copy of it saying that somebody created a Power App. Not only that, they were able to create the environment, not just the Power App, or the Power whatever. So we got to figure out how the heck Sally Sue was able to set up an environment. And it's scary, the amount of power that they just let end users do when you think you got it locked down. So, yeah, we're gonna have to nip that one.
I think sometimes it's security and sometimes it's more notification and awareness, right?
Yes,
I kind of talk about it all the time as to how do you get them that message? Say, hey, you might see it, please don't touch it. Here's the reason. Most people understand it.
You can put a VSP banner up when they go there that says,
There you
"Hey,
go.
hands off." Just FYI.
There it is. Use a VisualSP banner.
Yes, exactly.
I thought you could turn those tools off for like certain groups and just only have them available for others.
You can, but if users happen to get to the Power Apps dashboard or each user has their own dashboard. If they have to wind up there and you put a banner at the top that says, no, 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 get out of here, X out, don't even do anything here, then, it's a good little way to shoo them away.
Yeah.
So I want to tell you guys real quick, there was this article that Forrester Research had out, and the guy that wrote it, and of course I can't think of his name right now, but he talked about this insurance company, and they put out like a low code solution, so similar to Power Apps or, I guess back in the day, SharePoint Designer. And they had, like, within a year, they had over 11,000, they had no governance, over 11,000 user generated solutions. And, so that whole thing with like citizen developers, people going in there and building things, like, it's definitely, I would love to hear your strategies for how you guys, I mean, I like that idea of blocking it off. Yeah, I'm curious how other people are handling that. I think, like, when I got into IT, one of my first jobs was we scanned the network, and there were like, I don't know, 700 access databases on people's C drives, so that they were kind of sharing out. We rebuilt them in SharePoint, so at least they're not on somebody's hard drive, right? So how do you avoid that kind of situation? I mean, at least, if they're in Office 365, then you don't have to worry about the hard drive crashing. At the same time, the worst thing is to get a call that you've got some custom developed thing by an end user, and now they've left and it's business critical, and after the last updates, it's not working anymore.
Yep, it happens quite a bit. It happens quite a bit, yeah.
Anybody got any? I really like what you're doing, Jeff. Does anyone else have anything that they're doing to stop that, or have you blocked it entirely?
Well, I'll just add on, sometimes it is hard to block it. You can't. So your next best thing is to run a script. We were that organization who didn't have governance. 2 years ago, we were. And I had been doing SharePoint for years and years and years. And management said, no, just get the environment up. And I said, but the documentation from Microsoft says we need governance. No, don't worry about that. Get the environment up. And so we operated like that for years, and we realized we have no governance and we need to do that. So we spent a lot of time putting governance in, and then it's only as good as if you enforce it. So we communicate via our SPUG meetings, our SharePoint user group meetings. We tell them what the rules are. We have a governance document. And then again, Pam, we have those scripts that for at least the Power Platform and that kind of stuff, it runs on a daily basis. It detects anything that's been done, so they don't even have time to use it really. You've still got them in that playing around stage. So you can nip it before it goes production, because if you don't do that, you will find that you're going to have people out there that are putting something in production that all their users are using, and then they're going to leave and go get a job somewhere else with more money, and then all of a sudden you get tickets on something that you know nothing about. So
and it's critical.
Yeah, and it's critical. And so again, if we could hide stuff, if we could say, if Microsoft would provide the admin sometimes a way to say, just don't show this right now, we're not ready, but they always assume they know better, and we may not be ready as an organization for people to be able to implement a certain technology or whatever. We want to do it on our own time frame. We want to come up with our rules. We want to come up with governance.
Right.
And Microsoft just flicks that button anyway, and so then we have to come in behind it and try to nip it the best we can.
Has anybody used the COE toolkit that's out there for governance?
I have not.
Okay, I was just curious. We're looking into it, so I'll come back and let you guys know what we think once we get into it.
Is that got the recommendations and sample policies and stuff? Is that what that is? I can't remember.
Yeah.
We probably used it when we were trying to develop our governance, Heather, but it's been a while. You're talking 2 years ago, so we used a lot of different resources to develop our governance.
Yeah. I think they had really good intentions with that COE toolkit, Heather, but one thing to look at, and I'm not sure about the answer, but how often is it updated and or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We just found it and started like looking into it. So I wasn't sure if anybody else had actually used it or not.
Another subscription?
I think so.
I think it's free, right?
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it is free.
There's no cost to it. It's just that when some project manager starts these kind of initiatives inside and then that person moves on, which happens a lot at Microsoft, then there's no updates. So be mindful of that. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
I did hear good stuff about it before, but that was quite some time ago.
It looks like the last update was April 10th, 2020.
Okay. Decent. But year and a half.
Well, thank you for asking that question though, Heather. I was unaware of it, so.
Yeah, me too. I'm gonna look in there because definitely governance is something that's on our radar to try and really pin down and figure out. Right now we have Power Automate and Power Apps blocked because we have all of our SharePoint on-prem, but I mean, in the next couple of months, we'll be hopefully moving all of it, hopefully. I would rather move everything into GCC High than to continue to have an on-prem environment. So.
My main concern is I have a ton of InfoPath and designer workflows that it's going to be on me to move them, and I still need to figure out what I'm doing with Power Apps. So,
yeah.
So there are other tools and solutions that might be easier to use. InfoWise, Nintex,
Nintex, yeah, is a big one. We looked at them, but gosh dang, they were costly. We actually met with them, and they have a really great solution. And they bought K2, I believe, didn't they?
They did.
Yeah, because we looked at K2 separately too. But man, really expensive. That's the thing.
I worked for an Nintex partner for a while, and I mean, that tool is just phenomenal. Like, it is expensive, but when you think about how much time you really save in development, I think that you can justify it, because if you compare the time that you're going to spend on Power Apps building something, and then you build the same thing in Mintex, you know, and again, there's other tools. There's tons of them. Spark Forms. There's InfoWise. Of course, my mind's kind of going blank, but there's tons of them out there.
ShareGate has some stuff also.
No, theirs is really governance and migration.
Yeah, governance. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I was happy to find that InfoWise is actually available in GCC High. So, you know, we've got limited options there. So that was good news for me. But yeah, maybe think about a tool, because I think I don't remember who said it, but I think they're right that Power Apps is really more geared for developers and coming in and, you know, depending on who's doing it, like, it gives you a lot of complexity, but it adds time to all of your solution development.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
But you get better solutions. You have more options. So I don't know. There's pros and cons. Depends on what you're doing. So anyway, there's only 4 minutes left. So I do want to talk about like other SaaS applications. So I ran into some scenarios where, like, so I run the Knoxville user group. We partner with the Nashville user group. So my favorite thing is talking to other people about what they have going on in their environments. And there was this one company in particular that I talked to, and we were talking about collaboration applications, and it turns out they have like 10. They have all of them. They have Power Apps, they have ServiceNow, they have Appian, they're using Slack, Teams, they're using Facebook, Facebook for Business, which I've never actually seen that in action, but and the problem that they're running into is that they have these departments that go out, and, you know, it's just so easy to sign up, and they start using something, they never talk to IT about it, and then they have 40, 50, maybe 100 people on it, and it gets too much for them to manage, so then they call IT. And they're like, at that point, it's too late. It's already embedded in all their processes and everything, so we just take it on. And I was just wondering if any of you guys are using like other collaboration platforms, and if so, how many? And you know, maybe next time or at a future date, we can just talk about strategies and governance with that. It's definitely something, you know, that is happening more and more because it's so easy.
I would just throw out that it seems like it's a little overkill to have replicative applications in your organization. I mean, we deal with that with some of our development stuff outside of collaboration stuff in our agency alone. We have duplicate. It seems like they'll spend $1 million on a piece of software that almost does the same thing as we could probably use SharePoint for, or that we could use something else for. So I would think in the collaboration realm, it would, the main thing is it would be confusing to users as to which application they're going to use. Try to remember, oh, where did I communicate that information? Was it SharePoint? Was it Facebook? Was it this? Was it that? So that would be something that I would just address, you know, from a higher level is, do you really need all of those? Is there a reason to have all of them? I mean, it just sounds like overkill to me, but you know, that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, I think I have been in places before where, you know, they almost kind of compete for workloads between like Appian and SharePoint or other things. So is anyone using ServiceNow or have ServiceNow in their organization?
Yeah, we do.
Okay, so there's a few of you. That's cool. Do you ever run into that where people are trying to figure out when to use SharePoint or Power Apps or something like that? Okay, so yeah, I see a couple.
Or trying to integrate between the two, SharePoint and ServiceNow, and It's not like there's not any easy way to do that.
Oh,
They're trying
really?
to get away. They're trying to get around licensing. Like they don't want to buy all the licensing and ServiceNow when they could put it into SharePoint. So.
They're two different animals, though. So.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so, well, anyway, I definitely would like to talk more about ServiceNow because that's something else I'm curious about. But I think we're out of time. So.
Good conversation though. Thanks
Yeah,
for leading
thank
it.
you guys for coming.
Thank you.
Good talk.
Thank you.
Take care.
Thank you
Bye.
guys.
Next
Take
time.
care.
Bye.
Bye bye.